Duelists, I, Hellgear, have finally brought to you the post-Burst of Destiny build of the Penguin deck profile. And this stuff is busted. Got to love the busted. Like, sub, and bell for more. Burst of Destiny gives us 4 new cards for our Penguin deck, and 3 of them are monsters that you see right here on the Synchro Penguin Brave. Let's count the cards, and let's have the sweet, sweet taste from the Goblet of Supreme Crump. As always with my Penguin deck, we begin with the man of the hour, the rarest of the rarest, 3 copies of the Flying Penguin. He is one of 2 level 4 penguins in here, the only vanilla and unexpected die target, combining very well with Mr. Crump himself, the Nightmare Penguin. When these guys gives us access to our sweet, sweet Shark and Toad combo. The attack point boost doesn't matter with the Nightmare Penguin, but bouncing a card on the field is all that's good. 2 copies of Penguin Soldier and 2 copies of Penguin Ninja. Both of these guys are our flip effects. The Soldier, as you know, can bounce up to 2 monsters on the field, where the Ninja can bounce up to 2 spell and trap cards. And once per turn, Penguin Ninja can even flip a monster face down. This is also a very useful play. I run the 1 Penguin Cleric. The first effect, where you can discard this card when a penguin is sent to the graveyard to special summon one from the graveyard, doesn't come up much. The effect that does come up is boosting a penguin's attack for 600 points for the turn. And it also gives you 600 life. 2 copies. Speaking of more bounces, Glacial Beast Polar Penguin is lowered to 2. It has 2 wet effects. So that means wet mean OET, 1 effect a turn. When special summoned, you can bounce a monster your opponent controls, or if it's destroyed by battle or card effect, it bounces a card your opponent controls. It is one of 2 tuners in your Penguin deck. Next up is our Golden Savior, Mr. No Penguin. We love this guy. He chain blocks anytime a penguin effect activates. This is an automatic activation from the graveyard special summoning himself. So if Polar Penguin bounces, No Penguin in the graveyard activates at chain link 2 automatically. There is no stopping that. And of course, any penguin effect that would bounce a card, No Penguin makes sure it banishes instead. Odd little place for the puny penguin, but it actually has a very important role here. Remember, if it's flipped face up and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon a penguin from your graveyard in either face up attack or face down defense position once per turn. Next up, the Great Emperor himself. I only play 1 of this. A lot of people are going full 3 copies, but 1 is pretty much enough. Tribute it to special summon 2 other penguin monsters from your deck. So he is the Stratos, and the Golden Savior No Penguin does chain block him. Next up, the other level 5 and other tuner in the deck, 2 copies of Penguin Squire. 2 is a really good number. I like the fact of 2. You could play 3, but 2 works pretty well. If a card is set, it special summons itself from the field or to the field from your hand, then can lower its level to either 4 or 3. Hey, when you tune with Penguin Squire, the synchro monster has to be a water monster. Not a big deal. And once per turn, it can flip a face down monster face up. I roll an Ice Jade Acti. The second effect does not matter. We're not playing any other Ice Jade monsters. The effect that does matter is on summon, you send a water monster from your hand to grave and draw a card. This is another way to get our Cold and Savior, no penguin, into the graveyard. And there are many ways of doing this. I've lowered the True King Barastos the Fathomer to 1 in this build. And it's really good to have. You destroy 2 water monsters from your hand or field. And if, well, you have to destroy at least 1 water monster. The other monster can be any attribute. But if they're both water, you can banish up to 2 spell or trap cards from your opponent's field or graveyard. Very useful thing. And of course, everybody's favorite hand trap, Little Miss Ash Blossom. Now for the spells. One of the spells that works very well with our Great Emperor Penguin are the 2 copies of Royal Penguin's Garden. You only need 2 of these. 3 is clutter in your back row, and you don't want that. On activation, it rotas a penguin card to your hand. Then, once per turn, you can lower the level of 1 penguin you control or in your hand by a level, then discard a card. Another way to get the Cold and Savior into the graveyard. It also allows the Great Emperor Penguin to normal summon normally. Otherwise, I still like Water Hazard as my enabler. If you control no monsters, once per turn, special summon a level 4 or lower water monster. 2 unexpected die. As I said before, this is our Flying Penguin Search Out. And Foolish Burial to get our Cold and Savior in the grave. 2 Mores of Greed. If you have pot, you know what you're switching this out for. 2 Books of Moon. Lovely defensive stuff right there. We know about Call by the Grave and Monster Reborn. We know how these cards work. Surface can special summon one of your Aqua Penguins from the graveyard in face-up defense position. While Burst Rebirth special summons a monster from your graveyard face down at the cost of 2,000 life points. I play 2 Paleo Dynamicious because this is the best of the Paleo monsters in the main deck. And then 2 Hallucigenia to cut the attack power of a monster in half, just in case you need it. That wraps up the main deck, so we're going into the extra deck, folks. As I said before, the Penguin Brave. This is the ace boss monster of the deck in synchro form. On synchro summon, you special summon a penguin monster face down. Another way to be chain blocked by the Cold and Savior. And when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can flip a monster that's face down, face up. So, like your friend the Penguin Squire, you can also flip up cards. One thing I forgot to note is that when you flip up a face down card with Penguin Squire, the effect is negated unless it's a penguin. But you're going to have a penguin anyway. I run Coral Dragon in this deck. Some people like to use Desert Locust in this, but Coral Dragon fits with the water theme and can even blast a card. More card blasting with Gungnir, Dragon of the Ice Boundary. I love the original Japanese name. My level 8 synchro plays include Dragite for the negates, and Greater Dragon, which on synchro summon blasts cards equal to the number of water monsters used as material. And when it's destroyed, you get a water monster back. Trishu. We all know how that guy works. Still rocking number 45 for the recycle action. And number 75 to switch the effect of a monster that's activated to each player drawing a card. All the monsters in this deck are water, so Dweller being able to give you a nice water attack point boost is great. The Shark and the Toad, which I talked about normally. We know how these guys work. Got a Miss Star Boy for extra attack point boost. Coral Anemone to recur another monster. And the Nightmare Unicorn to spin something back if need be. Now, I want to show you guys this supremely busted play that I worked out in this deck. And believe me when I tell you this, it is one of the craziest things you will ever need. So, for this play, you're going to need 3 cards in your hand. You're going to need Penguin Squire, Royal Penguin Garden, and of course, our Golden Savior, No Penguin. Essentially, if you see these 3 guys in your hand, you have full combo, and this is one of the best combos. So we'll have Call by the Grave in here as well because of insurance's sake. So here's how the play works. First and foremost, you'll start with your Royal Penguin Garden. If your opponent ashes this, that's why we have Call by the Grave. So you'll take Royal Penguin Garden, you will add your Great Emperor Penguin to your hand. Where's my boy, the Great Emperor Penguin? You'll add the Great Emperor Penguin to your hand. Now, before you normal summon this, lower its level by 1 and you discard the No Penguin into the grave. Now, normal summon this guy. Use its effect to tribute itself. No Penguin at Chainlink 2 comes out. He's back on the field, right? Now you special summon 2 different penguins from your grave, from your deck to the field. So you want Ninja and you want the Puny Penguin. Use Penguin Ninja's effect to flip Puny Penguin face down. Then overlay these guys and go into number 75, Gossip Shadow. Since you have a monster set, you can special summon the Squire from your hand. When Squire hits the field, this is your 5th special summon. So, if your opponent hits you with Nibiru, you'll detach from Gossip Shadow. Nibiru's effect turns so everybody draws a card. Now, if you have drawn a penguin monster, which is Aqua, or if the 5th card in your hand is an Aqua monster, this next part can get rather interesting. So, from here, use Squire's effect, flip up Puny Penguin. Tune these guys for Brave. Now, Brave's effect activates, and for the sake of argument, we're going to special summon from our deck Penguin Soldier face down. Now, on resolution, Puny Penguin activates. So, this can revive our Great Emperor Penguin. Now, depending on your situation, you can do a couple of things after you tribute your Great Emperor Penguin. If you're going first, you can tribute this guy. You can special summon Flying Penguin from your deck and Nightmare Penguin from your deck. Then you can overlay these guys into Shark, then detach for Toad. That'll give you a pretty interesting board. Let's zoom that out a bit. Should have did that earlier. That'll give you a rather interesting board because you'll have one Aqua monster in your hand, as you just saw, for a negate on this. And you have Brave to swing. Now there's another way you can go into this route, and we'll just go back to Great Emperor Penguin here. If you're going first, you can go like this. Remember, Great Emperor Penguin's effect is not once per turn. You can tribute it. Then you can go into your second. Actually, yeah. We'll go into our second Penguin Squire. And then we'll do Cleric. Now, if you're going first, you can tune these guys into Dragite and have a negate. If you're going second and you want to put pressure on someone, you can synchro summon Greatle Dragon. But before you do that, make sure you use the Cleric's effect to if you're going second, before you summon Greatle Dragon, use Cleric's effect to boost Brave to 3,000. You'll gain 600 life. Now you have this. So if you're going second, Greatle Dragon now blasts 2 cards. Then you swing with Greatle Dragon for 3. Then you swing with Brave for 3. Otherwise, if you're going first, you're going to have Dragite for the negate. Now, on the next turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect, Penguin Brave activates, and because Brave activates, no penguin at, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no penguin hits at Chain Link 2, special summoning itself. You'll flip up Soldier, and you'll bounce 2 monsters. So on the next turn, you should be going for game. And that is just the busted, man. That is busted. And I hope you guys have enjoyed your Penguin deck profile here. Remember to like, sub, and bell for more. Raise your thumbs if you've enjoyed this one. Now let me take my cards to the box because I'm done. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.